Hello you lovely people and welcome. Are you sitting comfortably? No, me neither. Anyway, today we're going to be previewing the SC Designs F-5 Tiger. You can see I've got it in my aircraft selection here. Before I get into it though, I just need to clear a few things up because once I get into it I don't really want to be pointing them out. So, lights and beacons, they're a bit off at the moment, but that's because this is a preview copy. It's not the final release version, so just to give you a heads up on that, beacons aren't flashing and the green starboard lights are appearing as white at the moment. Also, the engine sounds are the Asobo F-18 sounds for the moment. As I say, this is preview copy, but hopefully by the time the Tiger gets launched, the custom sounds would have been delivered, will be with the package ready for when it comes out on sale. Now, I only did that because I know that I'm going to get comments at the bottom saying, oh, the lights are rubbish, or oh my god, it's got F-18 sounds. Yes, but we have to make do with what I've got for the moment, otherwise there'd be no sounds at all and no lights. So let's get into it, shall we? So we'll select the aircraft and we'll go to liveries. Now the liveries, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 17 liveries, and we'll start from the top. We've got a plain grey Tiger, Austrian Air Force, Bahrain, Chile, Brazil, Iran, the MiG-28 from Top Gun, Malaysian Air Force, Taiwan or Taiwanese Air Force, Republic of China, however you want to say that, Republic of Korea Air Force, Royal Saudi Air Force, Swiss Air Force, the classic USAF Silver, the Vietnamese Air Force, USAF Aggressor, United States Navy Aggressor, the VF-111 Sundowners, and a custom one there which is the DC Designs Fighter Weapons School livery. So I'm going to choose VFC 111 because I'm going to fly from Key West and that's their base. So let's close that up. I'm just going to choose a parking spot and let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, looking around the cockpit, and I got to say I'm absolutely loving it in here. Quite accurate, and as for weathering, looks very worn, and all the switches and surrounding areas look all grubby. So I mean, these machines aren't exactly spring chickens anymore, so the more wear the the merrier. So yeah, loving that, and beautifully modelled, I've got to say. So if we start down from the left hand side here, we do have a chocks switch here, so we can turn on and off. I'll leave that turned on for now. Nav radio, we've got our damper switches here and CADC switch there, our radar switches here, throttles, flap switch here, behind here, we have our bleed air system and our oleo extension, our engine starting switches and fuel shut-offs, our pylon selectors and weapon selection, jettison area here. Up here we've got the gear lever, hook, flap indicator, that's our angle of attack needle. I believe that one is our VVI, yep, HSI, altimeter, our speed, and artificial horizon. We have a drag chute that does work and does show up. Over here we've got a hydraulic gauge and some indicator lights there. In the center is our radar screen. Below that is comms. Under that is our nav selection, whether we are in TACAN, nav, VOR, things like that. our TACAN under that, and then above here we've got up front control for our gun reticle. So choose between missile, air-to-air guns, and air-to-air 2 and manual. In the manual selection we can change depression using that knob there, and that's our angle of attack indicator. We have a clock here, G meter, our backup artificial horizon, cabin pressures, and these are all our engine gauges for temperatures and pressures and things like that. Our fuel quantity down here, and these are fuel pumps, our cabin control, environmental control switches. Down here we have a liquid oxygen gauge, battery, generators, compass, and a couple of other switches there. Our oxygen regulator switches, our annunciator panel, our IFF there, internal lights and external lights, and we have a canopy open close there, and whiskey compass there to our right. Okay, so with that, let's jump outside. And as you can see, with that switch left in the on position, we have a remove before flight tag on the pitot, engine blanks for the intakes, chocks for the rear wheels, and covers for the back, the nozzles there. And as you can see, we are in Fighter Squadron Composite 111, and lovely livery with that beautiful Sundowner rudder there, and shark mouth, and Sundowner's written on the fuel tank. And speaking of external bits and pieces there, we'll go into our weight and balance. I'll just show you those now. So the thing is, we have aim 9s for the left and right wingtips, so put 190, hold on, what we've done there, 190 for that one, 190 for this one. Okay, enter. Okay, so we now have aim 9s for both wingtips, and we can change one of those out for an ACMI pod. Now, I can't remember for the life of me which side it is. I think it might be the left hand side, so let's check that out, shall we? So we'll change this one to 0 again, and we'll put this one to 100. Okay, we'll click here and just come around to the side. We now have an ACMI pod on our left wingtip, so this would be the normal. That wouldn't be a live aim 9, that would probably be a cap 9 or something, just to add to the air-to-air instrumentation, and obviously not a live sidewinder. Now, these other two options are for the next pylons in, and these are the only ones that we've got, so these weapons actually share the same pylon. Now we can have GBUs, so we'll go for the left hand side again, and we'll put in 350 and come across. Actually no, we'll stick it onto this side as well, so we'll go 350. Whoops, too many zeros. Try that again, shall we? I'm having a nightmare. There we go. So we've got LGBs, and as far as I'm aware, the F-5 never carried a laser designating pod, so I'm not sure how they would have worked. But yeah, we've got LGBs, or we can swap them out for 500 pounders. So let's get rid of that. Come down to the bottom here, put 350 in again, and you see it's replaced with a normal gravity bomb. You can fly asymmetric, but I don't know if that would cause any issues. Yeah, strange one, that's for sure. So yeah, let's clear these pylons. I'll fly with nothing on the plane, I mean, not me. So I'm not going to bother showing you sounds because, as I said, they're just well, I can't show you sounds, but I'll play the sounds for you because it's just F-18 sounds. So let's jump in, get the thing fired up, and we'll have a look at the cockpit in the live condition. Okay, so have a quick look around while the engines are running. And you can see not much to show here, but using the radar switches here we can manipulate this screen. So we'll put that onto radar. If anything's flying in the area, it will show up. I'm actually offline at the moment, so that won't show anything. We have map, and brightness controls and everything are here, so we can change the brightness, and range is here. And we've got radar missile on and off switch. But as you can see, we've got locally, we've got Key West International, a couple of other TACANs. We also have an AI aircraft flying about there, and also some carriers out at not far off the coast, so they're showing up on the map. If we go to air to ground, again it's just showing a couple of aircraft. Beacons, these are all the beacons in the surrounding area, and TV. I have a bug on mine. For some reason mine always shows slightly off. No matter what I've tried, I have this with other aircraft as well, so it's not the aircraft, it's me, so ignore that for now. But you can have like a forward-looking infrared kind of imaging on the front. Okay, so we'll switch that off for now, we don't need that. Other than that, we can have a look at the gun reticule. There we go. Okay, and if we go to manual, we can change depression. So if we're dropping any air-to-ground munitions, depending on speed and dive angle, we can calculate how much depression we'll need to get that on target. So we can turn that off as well. It's a very simple aircraft. I mean, it does exactly what it's built to do. Very simple. If we come across here on the annunciator panel, parking brake is on, pitot heat is on, and left and right anti-ice is on, which we'll switch those off. Okay, so apart from parking brake, yeah, I believe this aircraft didn't actually have a parking brake, but that's just been added for simplistic reasons for people who don't want to be rolling around everywhere. I will show some night lighting before we get onto the summary, but other than that, we can taxi out and do some flying. Right, let's roll. Take the parking brake off. Don't even need to use the throttle to get the aircraft moving, as the sitting RPM, idle RPM, seems to be enough to get the aircraft rolling anyway. And handling on the ground is very, very light, as you'd expect for something as small as this. So keeping your feet on the brake pedals ever so slightly might be a good idea, so that it doesn't roll away from you. And if you don't have, or if you do have the ability, sorry, differential braking steering works just as well. So okay, what we're going to do is going to taxi down to the stop here, slow it down a bit, and get a bit of differential braking steering there. And apply the brakes. Okay, so I'm going to put on our landing light and just make sure that everything is in the green. All looks good. Yep, all is good there. just line up on the runway. Okay, so we'll stop here. Okay, flaps are in auto, brakes are on. I'll just quickly show you the oleo extension, so park and brake on for the moment. Okay, so if you're wanting to use the oleo, use it on takeoff. Pull that. There we go. Nose raises a couple of degrees, and if we jump outside, you'll see that it's slanted ever so slightly. You'll see that we're nose up ever so slightly. And check the air brakes. Yep, they're there. Okay, let's jump back in. Right. Right, okay, so take the parking brake off, toe brakes on. Okay, I'm going to throttle up. About 90%. Let it hold there for a minute. All is good. Okay, brakes off, afterburners on. And I'm going to rotate at 150. Hold that there. Gear up, and we're up. Unlike other aircraft you may be used to, you'll actually have to trim this one out, as there is no fly-by-wire, which is great. So, afterburner off. Okay, so we're going to fly it around about 300 knots because that's where I have found it at its most comfortable. I'm going to head south. Now, key things to remember. 1. There is no fly-by-wire or computer to save you from overstressing this aircraft. If you pull too hard, too fast, you will know about it. So, you need to have your wits about you. You need to make sure that you're not loading the aircraft too much, and just treat it with care. Otherwise, if you don't, it will bite back, and when it bites back hard. So, let's show you a roll quickly. So this is partly, not even halfway using my stick, to be honest. Okay. And pull back up again. And we'll do a full stick deflection. This is a prohibited manoeuvre, but I'll do it anyway just to show you how fast this thing really does roll. Okay, I've slowed down for that. If you get this thing into a 0G position and snap roll, you can pull anything up to 720 degrees of roll per second. Now that's a violent manoeuvre, and hence why it's prohibited. So this thing really will push you to your limits. Also, the F-5 is actually used to mimic as closely to the MiG-21 as possible, and they've found that it matches pretty well, to be honest, and pretty similar roll rate. So that is what the F-5 was initially used for, when there was a lot of MiG-21s around. Not so much these days, but that's why they are used for dissimilar air combat training at the moment, because they're good at what they do. They're very cheap, easy to fly, easy to maintain. You know, what's not to like about that? Also, if you want best corner velocity, you will need to be at around 420 knots and keep your angle of attack inside of 15 degrees. So, and you'll reach your best max turn velocity. So there's that to consider as well if you like your BFM or ACM, which I'm absolutely useless at. And yeah, so I mean, like I say, this thing is quick. Do Mach 1.6 at 36,000 feet. I believe it's most comfortable is at 0.9 at 36,000 feet, and best endurance is at 0.8 at 36,000 feet. So a few figures there, they could be wrong, probably are, but you can always look them up in the manual. Now I am going a little bit too fast for pulling this much. I will overstress if I'm not careful. So get ready for overstressing if you're not used to flying a very agile aircraft with no fly-by-wire or computer to save you. A lot of fun. Can be frustrating if you're not used to it, but a lot of fun. Now all we need is a 527th Aggressor Squadron livery from RAF Falconbury, and possibly an RAF Falconbury scenery, or Bent Waters again if that ever gets released. That'd be great. So I'm going to bring this thing back into land now. Touchdown speed is around 170 knots if I remember rightly, but I'm carrying still quite a bit of fuel, so that figures could be wrong there, and I don't have the brain power to calculate that, so I'm just going to go for it anyway. So we'll go back to Key West. If there's any juddering, I do apologise, it's just my computer, my dinosaur of a rig. I mean, I can already see this being a very popular flight model, but I can also see there being a few people who are going to complain about it because, well,
it's not the plane, it's the pilot.
So yeah, be interesting to see what the comments will be like. Just remember that this is a pre-release preview edition and is not a finished product. Way too quick for the approach here. Could you have got a drag chute? Gear down. Bit of a side wind kick in there, Jesus.
Power.
Right.
Power.
Okay.
Power.
Yes, you can see I need a lot of practice in this.
Power.
Okay, I'm down. Quite a long runway at Key West, so I don't really need to use a drag chute, but I can do anyway. Let's pull it. And there we go, chute's deployed. And that will disappear once you slow down to a safe speed. And all you need to do is push the handle back in and you can reuse it again. You don't have to restart the flight to get the chute back on the aircraft, which is always handy. So we're just going to push that in there, track the air brakes and the flaps, and taxi back to the hard standing. And that's all that's left now is for the summary, and obviously details of pricing and where you can purchase. Right, okay, admin time. So before I get into the summary proper, like I said before, when you get the aircraft, if we go into here, into documents, you'll see that you've got the manual and you've got the flight modelling document. Close that, bring those across. Okay, this is the operations manual, so obviously the standard, give you everything you need to know for maximum cruise. So 0.9 at 30, I wasn't far from 0.98 and 0.8 economical cruise 36,000. I was actually remembered that. Wow, my brain's working today. But yeah, everything you need to know is in the manual, and you've got bits and pieces for weights and startup and things like that. And then if we come over to the flight modelling, we scroll down, it gives you all the details of the fuel systems, electrical systems, G-loading, things like that. It goes all into the technical part of the actual making of the aircraft. And then down the bottom gives you the roll ailerons and rudder. Like I said, at a speed of 1 G load. The T-38 is very roll sensitive. This is a T-38 pilot that tested this for SC designs. It would take very little stick pressure or trim to roll in either direction. In fact, if you unloaded the aircraft to 0 G and gave it full deflection stick, the T-38 would roll 720 degrees a second. By the way, that was a prohibitive manoeuvre because it's pretty violent and disorientating. On the other hand, if you G the aircraft up to high alpha, the ailerons become relatively ineffective, while the rudders become very effective. As a demonstration to my students, I'd slow and configure at altitude and apply moderate rudder. That would induce an immediate rudder roll, a warning to the student not to do that on approach. And then you've got your zoom, climb, profile, things like that. There's a lot of very good information in here. Give it a peruse, and you'll get to know the aircraft a little bit better. So we'll close that up. So as I say, got a nice selection of liveries, and obviously for the PC users there'll be more on flightsim.to, no doubt. Now, the aircraft, absolute joy to fly, a lot of fun, very scary. Its roll rate is very comparable to that of the MiG-21, having flown or owning a MiG-21 on a different sim. I can attest to the fact that they fly very similar, to be honest. So I can see why they use this as a MiG-21 adversary aircraft. A lot of fun, like I say. If you get into dogfights with other aircraft, if you have a group of friends or into that sort of thing, then you can use this to full effect in that situation. And I guarantee, if you go into this aircraft learning its vices and not to overstress, and learning the power curve and all things like that, get from this into an aircraft for fly-by-wire, you'll be a better pilot for it, because this thing is just pure, I can't think of the word, pure aggression. Basically, it will let you push the envelope, and it will let you go over the envelope, and learn from your actions, whereas an aircraft with fly-by-wire will stop you from getting to that point, and stop you relying on the aircraft to do the flying. So it's a must-have for me anyway. So when it releases, I'll be getting it. Although I'm not sure where I'll get it from at the moment, but it is releasing for £17.99, or your equivalent in currency, and it's releasing on PC and Xbox at the same time via the marketplace and Just Flight in around about 2 weeks time. So keep your eyes open for that, and for that price, totally worth it. And like I say, by then hopefully light situation may have been sorted, and the custom sounds will be on the aircraft. So I'll be making an updated video once that is the case. But anyway, if you got this far, thank you for watching, and as always, take care. I'll catch you in the next one.